Hello everyone, my name is Christopher Liam Rose. I'm an author, mentor, life coach, motivational speaker, evangelist, musician, and activist. In this podcast and audio, we're going to be sharing a message. I've been sharing the Spiritually Helping Other People podcast to inspire humanity to go through a spiritual change, to learn about Jesus Christ, Jehovah Buddha, to learn about the no self and selflessness, and to learn about helping other people, giving back and making a difference. Now, in this message and in this podcast and audio, we're going to be sharing a very important message which is called spiritually becoming. Now, in life, no matter who you are as a human being, we're all spiritually becoming something in life. So, life is always moving forward into the future, right? So, as human beings, we start on earth as a baby, we grow into a teenager, then a toddler, then an adult, and then a male, female, or woman or man, right? So we're always progressing within life. Life is a forever journey of moving forward. So nothing in life stays the same. Your body's gonna change, your mind's gonna change, your morals, values, and beliefs are gonna change. The way you work's gonna change, what you believe's gonna change, how you live your life is gonna change. Every time and every day throughout life, and every week and every month. So we're always spiritually becoming. So it's very important within your life to know who you are first before you do anything else in life. How do you know who you are first? You need to develop a spiritual practice to know who you are. So what is the spiritual practice that you need to develop? The five spiritual practices: prayer, meditation, mindfulness, walking, and journaling. Now, these spiritual practices will help you to understand who you are becoming. Spiritually becoming is a process, right, of change, right? The life that we're living is always going through a spiritual change. So, spiritually becoming is a process of change. I've always recommended to people it'll be good if you can become an activist or an evangelist or a teacher or a philosopher or someone that's basically helping other people, giving back and making a difference. Because spiritually becoming into those professions will actually help you to help lots of people give back, make a difference and a contribution. When we're spiritually becoming, we're changing as a human being and we're evolving. Life is always evolving and moving forward into the future. Your past is not going to be like your future. Your present's not going to be like your current present right now. Everything changes within time. So once we understand the process of spiritually becoming, so we're always becoming something in life, then we can learn how to live our life through our day to day to get us closer to who we're becoming. So it's important to realize that, like in life, it's important to have a purpose, have a spiritual calling, know who you are as a human being, know what type of work you want to do, know what type of person you want to be, know the impact and the significance and the difference you want to make. Now, it's important to realize that human beings, when they go through suffering, pain, and adversity and trauma, they start to not understand who they're becoming because of the suffering, pain, and the trauma. So that always affects human beings. But I've always said within my audios, within my books, within my videos, and within my content, that spiritually becoming is a process of the self. So if you want to know who you're spiritually becoming in life, and if you want to know who you're evolving into, then you need to understand the self and the no self. Now, the self is where the suffering, pain, and adversities come from in life. Everybody right now is living the self. My life, my ego, my self-esteem, my family, my friends, my community, my this and my that. Me, my mentality, right? So that's what the self is all about. So we need to overcome the self to know who we're spiritually becoming. So the know self is a life of knowing who you are, the know thyself. Knowing your flaws, your mistakes, your life experiences, your challenges, your situations, circumstances. But also the no self has a hidden meaning, which basically means there's no more self within you. There's no more I, me, or my within you, or ego or self-esteem. So that is what we're all trying to get to when we're spiritually becoming. We're all trying to get to the place where we're living our life freely, we're spiritually awakened, we're spiritually enlightened, and we have no more self within us. So that gives us the opportunity to be selfless and basically help humanity, help the animals, and help the universe. Now, spiritually becoming is always about becoming who you really want to be in life. For me in my life, I've gone through a lot of horrible situations, suffering, pain, and trauma within my life, and I've experienced quite a lot of hardships and disappointments and struggles within my life. But I've always realized that what I went through in the past, my homelessness and my mental health difficulties, doesn't have to define who I am now. It's part of my life. I have to live with it. I have to deal with it daily. I have to find ways to cope with it. But it doesn't define who I am as a human being. It makes me more motivated and it makes me more driven, because I know with the suffering, pain, and adversity I've been through, that it's motivating me, inspiring me to move forward. Each human being must find their why in life. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you going to work? Why are you studying? Why are you looking after your family? Why are you taking care of your children? Why are you socializing? Why are you doing the things that you want to do in life? Once you find your why, which comes from self-knowing, right? Self-knowing is how you find your why. Once you know yourself, your spiritual life purpose will unfold. When your spiritual life purpose will unfold, then you'll know why you're put on earth to do. And each human being has a unique gift and talent and skill that they need to share with the world. I've always said within my audios, podcasts, and messages and videos that the light is already within you. The light is within you, right? So you need to find that light that's within yourself. Each human being has that light. Each human being can find that light. And when you find that light of who you truly are as a human being, like the reasons why you went through what you went through, your suffering, your pain, your adversity, the life experiences you've gone through, the disappointments, the broken relationships, the divorces, the losing people. Once you find the meaning through all of that, because it takes a lot to find meaning through all of that, right? It's quite a difficult process to process all of those losses, disappointments, suffering, pains, and adversities, and then to find meaning through all of that. Once you find meaning through all of that, then you spiritually know who you're becoming. Spiritually becoming is a process of a journey in life that's moving you forward to the future. So every day within your life, you're slowly moving into the future. Things will change along the journey of your life. People will go away. You won't be in certain relationships. You won't be with certain people. Your life will change throughout the days, the weeks, the months, the years, and things will slowly move you into the future. In life, nothing happens by coincidence. Everything has been divinely purposed for you in your life. Even the suffering, pain, and adversity that you go through, there's a meaning behind it. There's a purpose behind it. So it's so important, once we go through the journey of spiritually becoming, that we learn from all of life lessons. So life is teaching you lessons every single day. Each day you're learning new lessons, picking up new skills, picking up new abilities, meeting new people, understanding things and processing things. Once you get to the process of when you've discovered the no self and selflessness, which is the hardest thing to discover, very, very difficult to discover the no self and selflessness, because it takes a lot for a human being to go on that journey. But once you discover the no self and selflessness, then you know you're spiritually becoming. And then what happens is that your life becomes aligned to your future. So everything that you're doing today, your work, if you're a content creator, for example, making videos or audios or podcasts, if you're like a teacher, teaching people in schools, colleges, university or centers or churches or synagogues or mosques or temples, everything that you're doing aligns to your future. So how you're living your life now aligns to the future self. If you change your future self now, which basically means change into the no self and selflessness, then your life will become aligned. And when your life becomes aligned, you'll be living the past, the present, the future, basically moving towards the future and evolving. Spiritually becoming means you're evolving as a human being. You're not going to be the same human being you was 20 or 10 years ago. Each day you're moving forward into a different human being. It's important when we go through the five spiritual practices and go through spiritual change that we do the 5 levels of helping other people. That's why I said in the audio and podcast, I'd recommend for people to actually become an evangelist, a teacher, philosopher, or activist, because these are the paths, or a speaker. These are the paths we can help the most people. So in the 5 levels of helping other people, there's level 1, volunteering; level 2, jobs, careers, employment; level 3, business, entrepreneurship; level 4, faith and spiritual; level 5, spiritually helping other people who helping other people. Now all these levels in helping other people are very important. And this is what's happening when you're spiritually becoming. So when you go for a spiritual change and you're spiritually becoming, the 5 levels of helping other people is what your life is going to be based on. What difference you make, what impact you make, what significance you have, and what contribution you're doing to the world. Now, every human being needs to go on this journey. Some human beings can't go on the journey because they're still in suffering, pain, and adversity and not knowing how to deal with it and process it. But each human being needs to go on this journey, understanding themselves of who they are, the know self and selflessness, know thyself, right? So it's important in your life that you find a way to know yourself, right? And the way you know yourself is by going through a spiritual change. The spiritual change will help you to discover the know self and selflessness, and then you can live your spiritual life purpose and your spiritual calling. Each human being needs to go on this journey, so it's very, very important you start the journey. You don't know how your life is going to end up. You don't know where you're going to be in the future, because in life we're born, we live our life, and then we pass away and we go into death. So how you change now is how you change in the future. If you take spiritual actions now to work towards the future of who you're becoming and evolving into, then this will be important for all parts of your life. So spiritually becoming is always about going on the journey of spiritual change. And going on the journey of spiritual change is the most hardest thing to do in life, because human beings don't want to change their psyche and the psychological mind or who they really are as a human being. But when you go for a spiritual change, you are changing your psyche and your psychological mind, the essence of who you are. When you change the essence of who you are, you're changing yourself completely. And that's when you actually really understand what life is all about. You have the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding, the spiritual guidance to know what life is all about, and to know, what am I put on earth to do? What is my spiritual calling? What are my gifts? What are my talents? What are my skills? What are my abilities? What have I been chosen to do from the Lord God? So Jesus Christ, Jehovah, and Buddha is asking us to go on the journey of spiritual change. When we go on the journey of spiritual change, we're spiritually becoming. And when we're spiritually becoming, we're spiritually evolving. And when we're spiritually evolving, we're growing as a human being, and we're developing ourselves. So this is the journey of life. This is the journey of helping other people, helping humanity, helping the animals, helping the universe. So each human being needs to go on a journey, and each human being needs to find the spiritual life purpose and the spiritual calling. So I hope this has helped. This is quite a in-depth podcast and audio, but I just want you to understand the spiritually becoming is a process of spiritual change, and go on the journey. Go on the journey, discover yourself, find who you are, find your gifts, find your talents, find your skills, find your abilities, find your motivations, find your inspirations, and let that inspire you to move to the future self of who you're becoming and the evolution of your life. And remember, birth, life, death, and rebirth is the whole process of life. So birth, life, death, rebirth. So all human beings are going to go through that. How you live your life now is how you live your life in the future. What you do now is what you do in the future. So how you change now is how you change in the future. If you spiritually change your thinking, you spiritually change your life. So everything starts with you. Spiritually find out who you are, learn about yourself, study, read books, watch videos, listen to podcasts, listen to audios, listen to messages, listen to sermons, meet people, talk with people, socialize with people, have experiences of life like a relationship, children, family, friends, and discover who you are as a human being. And then you will know who you're spiritually becoming into. And spiritually becoming into is very important in life. So spiritually become who you really want to be, and be the person that leaves a legacy, makes a difference, make a contribution, and helps humanity, helps the animals, helps the universe. So thank you for listening. Now, I hope this has helped. This is quite a long podcast and audio, but thank you for listening. Now, take care now. Bye now.